Did you know that Tencent had the most downloads and revenue in China's iOS App Store during the first 7 months of 2014? Now, you can imagine how big Tencent stands right now in 2022, even though the Chinese government might disagree with that takeoff. In today's video, we bring you the rise of Tencent, a relentless gaming giant in the modern era. You must have seen or heard of Tencent somewhere, maybe in the game you play or elsewhere. So stay tuned till the end of the video to find out everything about Tencent today and the challenges it faces. Tencent, officially known as Tencent Holdings Limited, is a Chinese multinational conglomerate. Tencent was founded in 1998 and began with a simple messenger product that allowed users to connect online. Since then, a lot has happened. Tencent now has a presence in a variety of industries, providing services such as social networks, mobile games, smartphones, and other technology-related products. Despite this, they are largely unknown in the West. Sound surprising to you? In this video, we have covered everything you need to know about this powerful corporation. Tencent became one of the best performing stocks of all time after its IPO in 2004, with its share pricing rising by 91,000 at its peak in 2021, giving it a market cap of more than $900 billion. This means that if you had invested $1,000 in the company at the IPO, you would have had $900,000 in February 2021. By looking at their financials, it's easy to tell why the company's revenue increased from 2010 to 2021. The revenue increased 30-fold to $87 billion, and their net income increased 29-fold to $35 billion. However, over the past year, Tencent's fortunes have changed dramatically, with the stock price falling by more than 2/3. And if you look at their recent financial performance, it's not hard to see why. After 2 decades of growth, they reported 2 consecutive quarters of revenue decline in 2022, and their net income also fell by a whopping margin. Tencent has an inspiring story about how it grew from a small internet company to one of China's most popular and largest internet service portals. Tencent earned its current glowing reputation through hard work, dedication, and client-friendly strategies. The company is primarily responsible for altering the landscape of China's internet industry. Ma Huateng and his friend Zhang Zhaidong co-founded the company as a software firm. It released OICQ, a replica of ICQ instant messaging software, in 1999. This was the first major success, and it grew exponentially after receiving positive feedback from users. ICQ changed its instant messenger name to QQ in response to copyright complaints. Tencent has a stronghold on the Chinese cyberspace industry due to its cuteness factor, which appeals to teenagers and young adults who frequently use instant messaging apps. The sale of avatars, which are cartoon characters that users can adopt while online, accounts for a large portion of its revenue. Tencent charges users a fee for the use of these avatars. Their official mascot is a cute penguin named QQ, who is very popular in China. Tencent has long been criticized for stealing other companies' names. When Microsoft launched its MSN messaging service in China in the early 2000s, Tencent almost immediately began copying many of the same features and functionality into QQ. However, it's not fair to call them purely a copycat because they also added new features such as customizable avatars and other ways for people to customize their profiles to express themselves online. In the 2000s, there was a huge gap in the market for video games in China due to a lack of digital piracy enforcement. Nobody was willing to pay $60 for a console game when they could just buy a copy on a street market for $5. Tencent was one of the first companies to realize that if people pirate the games, they might as well give them away for free and monetize by selling in-game microtransactions such as avatar customization and various power-ups. Tencent has established itself as China's leading service provider. The company experienced great joy when it was listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and began earning huge profits. They did, however, face setbacks when mobile operators implemented strict regulations to share a portion of the large profits. One of Tencent's earliest and most successful licensing deals was the exclusive rights to distribute video games in the Chinese market. Agreements were made with the South Korean MMORPG Dungeon Fighter Online, and as a part of these arguments, Tencent and the developers split the revenue generated from microtransactions. This was a great deal for Tencent because they generated revenue without incurring the very significant costs of developing the games themselves. Now, they needed to take their video game ambitions to the next level, so they invested their IPO proceeds in developing their games in-house. When smartphones became popular in the early 2010s, they shifted their focus from desktop games to mobile games, resulting in an explosion in growth even as they began developing original games in-house. They didn't design the wheel in the beginning. Almost all of their original games were heavily influenced by games that were already popular outside of China. Since the concept had already been proven in foreign markets, this strategy greatly reduced the risk of a game being a flop. The games were extremely popular and helped QQ become the most popular online application in China with over 600 million users in 2011. Around 2010, China implemented its so-called Great Firewall, which barred Western internet companies such as Google and Facebook from operating in the country without being threatened by the more established Western competition. Following this, Tencent had a huge opportunity to become the country's dominant social media company. In 2011, they launched their free-to-use WeChat messaging app, which quickly became a blockbuster. The success of WeChat and QQ games turned Tencent into a money machine, and by the mid-2010s, they were generating more than $15 billion in free cash flow per year. They concentrated on both domestic and international markets. Their foreign acquisitions were mostly in the video game industry, such as Epic Games, the company behind Fortnite and the Unreal Game Engine, and Riot Games and Supercell, the company behind League of Legends and Valorant, and the company behind Clash of Clans. Their domestic acquisitions were more diverse, including Hoya, a video game streaming company, and China Music Corp, which they rebranded as Tencent Media Entertainment. Tencent appeared unstoppable, even during the pandemic in 2020, as usage of video games increased with people spending more time at home, including the video game streaming company Hoya and the music streaming company Chinese Music Corp. They appear to be well on their way to becoming the first trillion-dollar tech company outside of the United States, but as they say, that good things never last forever. Beginning in 2018, there were indications that the Chinese government was dissatisfied with the video game industry. Video games have become extremely popular in China, particularly among younger generations. Excess gaming was widely regarded as a major contributor to nearsightedness. It was estimated that nearly half of all Chinese minors wear corrective lenses. Excessive gaming also had negative consequences, such as distracting children from their studies in China. New video games must be approved by a government regulator. They do not allow games that they believe are contrary to societal values. In 2018, they banned Monster Hunter World, a video game for which Tencent was the sole Chinese distributor. This seemingly arbitrary ban was a big sign that China was tightening its grip on the industry within a few months. After some time, when the government began approving video games again, it appeared that Tencent could resume its prior growth trajectory. But these hopes were dashed in the summer of 2021, when Chinese state news outlets began harshly criticizing the video game industry, going so far as to compare the addictive nature of online games to drugs. Following that, the government enacted some of its strictest video game regulations, which now set a legal limit of 3 hours of video game time per week for minors, along with some other regulations as well. Their existing games continue to generate revenue, but their ability to expand their user base has clearly been greatly limited by the restrictions, and we're already seeing the negative impact on their financial performance as of the second quarter of 2022. Apart from all this, Tencent is still known to be dedicated to creating innovations that add value to people's lives. This is demonstrated by the fact that the R&D department employs more than half of Tencent's total workforce. It has patents in several areas, including gaming, instant messaging, e-commerce, online payment services, information security, and search engines. Tencent Research Institute, China's first internet research institute, was established with a $100 million investment from the company. Tencent is never content to rest on its past achievements. In today's competitive world, the brand is constantly striving for excellence. The team is very committed to corporate social responsibility and focuses on educating youth, establishing initiatives to provide care to the poor and disadvantaged sections of society, and disaster relief. What are your thoughts on Tencent? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.